Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskita Deshatarani. Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 21, Text 44. Tataiva Harinai Krodai Svavid Gavaya Kunjarai Gopucher Haribir Marker Nakuler Nabibir Ritam Taiva Harinai Krodai Svavid Gavaya Kunjarai Gopucher Haribir Marker Nakuler Nabibir Britam Taiva Harinai Krodai Svavid Gavaya Kunjarai Gopucher Haribir Marker Nakuler Nabibir Britam Taiva Harinai Krodai Svavid Gavaya Kunjarai Gopucher Haribir Marker Nakuler Nabibir Britam Tata Eva, likewise. Harinai, by deer. Krodai, by boars. Svavit, porcupines. Gavaya, a wild animal closely resembling the cow. Kunjarai, by elephants. Gopuchai, by baboons. Haribi, by lions. Markai, by monkeys. Nakulai, by mongooses. Nabibi, by musk deer. Britam, surrounded. Its shores abounded with deer, boars, porcupines, gavayas, elephants, baboons, lions, monkeys, mongooses, and musk deer. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Musk deer are not found in every forest, but only in places like Bindu Sarovar. They are always intoxicated by the aroma of musk secreted from their navels. Gavayas, the species of cow mentioned herein, bear a bunch of hair at the end of their tails. This bunch of hair is used in temple worship to fan the deities. Gavayas are sometimes called chamaris, and they are considered very sacred. In India, there are still gypsies or forest mercantile people who flourish by trading kasturi or musk, and the bunches of hair from the chamaris. These are always in great demand for the higher classes of Hindu population, and such business still goes on in large cities and villages in India. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jananjadashalakaya Chakshurmitam Jina Tasmai Shri Rame Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishnam Dapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapanoti Vande Shri Guru Shri Rupam Sarvatam Sarvatam Vijana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakti Vinam Sajam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinamando Chirapate Gopi Shaboki Kakanta Radha Kanta Namostite Yayadam Surito Pangur Mama Manda Mater Gati Matsarvas Vapanam Bojo Radha Madana Divya Brinduranya Kalpadrumana Shrivad Ratnagara Singhasanasto Shrimad Radha Shila Govinda Devo Pastalabi Sevimanu Smarami Shriman Rasa Rasarambi Bamsi Bhatta Tatastita Karshan Venusanan Gopir Gopi Natha Shri Estuna Tapta Kanchana Gorami Radhe Vrindavani Shri Rishabhanu Sate Devi Anamami Recreate Vanchakalpatarubhyas Chakra Sindhuvi Vachapati Dhanam Pamanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shri Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Tataiva Harinai Krodai Svavid Gavaya Kunjarai Gopucher Haribir Marker Nakuler Nabibir Britam. Its shores abounded with deer, boars, porcupines, gavayas, elephants, baboons, lions, monkeys, mongooses, and musk deer. So, it's very significant that this Bindu Sarovar, when you wonder what was it named prior to the Lord's coming and shedding tears out of compassion for Kardama Muni, hence by that it's called Bindu Sarovar. That could be a question for a very minutely probing and elevated Vedic scholar to tell. Everybody could like, so I don't get a crick in my neck having a. That's very nice. So, a great devotee, Kardama Muni, so great that Krishna will come seemingly or supposedly as his son as a very important incarnation, Kapila Dev, who will speak very, very important devotional philosophy, Sankhya. Not ordinary Sankhya, but devotional service. And that the Lord himself would come and visit such a place. So we've been hearing a description, which this is the last description of this place. Musk deer are not found in every forest, but only in places like Bindu Sarovar. And it's So musk is considered to be a very auspicious scent, and it is used in the worship of the Lord in the temple. Uh, Similarly, the gavayas are sometimes called chamaris. We say the chamara whisk, chamara fan, and they are considered very sacred. So things that are accepted by the Lord for His exclusive worship, uh, they are very, very auspicious living entities that can contribute the fruit of their what comes forth from their body. We see a bunch of hair at the end of their tails. So when that hair is grown, there's no pain or there's no terrible, they're not going to be killed by harvesting it or taking it. Similarly, animals like sheep or others that grow. In fact, if they're not sheared periodically or regularly, 6 months, 1 year, whatever it is, then it can put that animal in great difficulty. So different animals, we call them domesticated. They're meant by nature and by instinct, which are ultimately is the Lord's own arrangement and plan, to be very much integrated in human society. One argument that vegan people try to say that cows, if just left alone, will just go off in the forest and that's not at all true, because cows always look to find where human society is. So that gives a great boon and advantage to us human beings, that such auspicious animals who could be very helpful for the day in and day out, generation and generation onward flow, for the smooth running of human society, they have so much to offer. So therefore, it is the most sinful activity when those who are, quote unquote, in a helpless, dependent, or so-calledly inferior position to us by dint of our strength and intelligence or whatever, that we betray that trust and we, so like the demons, what do they do with, you know, they would take the hair and make chamar whisk, and then they would slaughter the animal and eat it. So they have massive slaughterhouses to kill animals. And Prabhupada is told, and this is very much substantiated throughout all the Vedic literatures, that this is what causes periodic devastation in human society, big wars. Prabhupada even said during his time when he was here in the beginning, the president was Lyndon Baines Johnson. And Prabhupada even said he didn't consider a social event complete without killing and a cow and, eating to all the horrible. He said because of this, that he was obliged to send all the best young men of America to be slaughtered in Vietnam. And we see, because this was such a sinful and heinous thing, and when Prabhupada came, it created such a dichotomy. There had never been such wide-scale protest against any war declared by the United States of America in history to date. Can you think of one that people, World War II, everybody gladly went, with great pride, and, we're going to get Germany and Japan and we're going to win, and, there were one or two isolated cases of deserters, not just refusing to report for the draft, but actually going into combat and just couldn't taking it, and they were shot and executed. But during the Vietnam era, the draft dodgers, so many young people, and even Prabhupada himself, because he had incorporated ISKCON as a bona fide religious organization. He had the status as the head of the organization to sign religious exemptions. And many of his disciples took that way out. In other words, this is an aspect of ugra karma. And, you could cite political reasons why, the Vietnam War and the Cold War or the military industrial complex, whatever, But the real heart of it is karma. So musk deer and these gavayas, they're not found in ordinary places, but only in places like Bindu Sarovar. Now, India has such a great responsibility because since time immemorial, cows were considered most sacred and most special, and their protection was paramount in the purview of everyone. So in so-called modern-day India, you can look at the nice video that was put together by Korma Rupa for Care for Cows. I think maybe this video was put together posthumously. But he's saying, I remember one line, that it's no longer holy cow in India, it's holy car. And, just people drive so recklessly and crazy, and so many of these poor cows are just, their legs are run over or they're hit by cars in various ways, injured in so many different ways. And worse than that people actually, non-quote-unquote Hindu people, want to round up the cows and slaughter them, and it's just absolutely horrible. So especially a holy place like Vrindavan, the cows should be especially protected. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is adept at playing on his flute. Surrounded by purpose trees, he's always herding the Sarabi cows. Govinda means one who gives pleasure to the cows and the senses. He takes care of the cows and the brahmanas. Go brahmanya hitaya cha. But Prabhupada says in one place that giving protection and pleasure to the cows is first. In India, there are still gypsies or forest mercantile people who flourish by trading kasturi or musk in the bunches of hair from the chamris. These are always in great demand for the higher classes in Hindu population. So what makes them considered to be higher classes? Higher class of religiosity, higher class of piety, higher class of interest in devotional service. That's what actually makes a person more higher class. How much more are they interested or actually on the platform of pure devotional service? That is high class. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said that all the aristocracy and high class qualities to be found in anywhere simply are contained within one particle of dust at the lotus feet of my spiritual master, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, who by so-called, what bewildered people considered to be higher class would be the most incomprehensible statement they would have ever heard in their entire life. But for those of us who are endeavoring to reach and achieve devotional service under the merciful guidance and compassion of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, we can understand to some degree. So Vedic India was such a wonderful place. This is the soil, Bharta Bhumi, Punya Bhumi, the land where Krishna himself appeared, and all incarnations and so many great personalities, Rajrishis, saintly personalities, devotees of all kind. And then just within, Prabhupada says in the first canto, within the memory of everyone, Lord Chaitanya has appeared within this, in India, within this age of iron industry. So nothing is accidental, nothing is happenstance, everything is planned. And these types of animals who Krishna has marked to render service for the regulated worship of himself in this material world in the deity form, and as giving products for the essential practice of his devotees, are very, very special living entities, and they should be taken care of with utmost care and attention. Any questions or comments? Well, to help get us in the mood for Lord Ramachandra's appearance day, which is in 2 days, you have a question on the class so far?
I
Go ahead.
mean, if you were taking questions, yeah.
Yeah.
If it's something that you've thought about, what are some ideas for how we can, as ISKCON, how we can improve cow protection in the United States and within our organization? Like,
How can we bring that, how can we make that happen?
yeah, things that you've thought about maybe.
Well, what we can do here in New York is to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, as much as possible in this human form of life. Because which automatically includes all aspects of preaching, video, this awakening all varieties of devotional service. If we don't chant Hare Krishna, then we can't distribute books, we can't talk to people, we can't really be, Krishna won't empower us to be likable or attractive to the people in general, or know what to say to them, etc., etc. That's just a given. So, unless people are purified and are given and are able to digest actual knowledge of what's what is to be feared, what is not to be feared, what is to be accepted, what is not to be accepted, etc., etc., then it will be very difficult or impossible. So, the nature of serving the spiritual master in authorized devotional service is that Krishna will take care of everything automatically. So Srila Prabhupada has, Krishna consciousness has come west now for 57 years, or 58 if you want to consider the year 1965 that Prabhupada was along. Okay, 58 years. So I've been alive 64 years. I was actually 6 years old in 1965. And I can remember what things were like back then, and compared to now, it's quite different. Vegetarianism, yoga, interest in Eastern philosophy, spiritual knowledge. So this is likened unto the sun will rise and we can perceive the dawn, or it's just coming over the horizon, and the sky starts to look golden. But there's a big difference between dawn and the full noonday sun when it's completely high in the sky. So we have to keep working at it. And of course, there should be many places for cow protection, practically everywhere, but at least we want to maintain however many, but at least a few, or one or two. Right now, within hundreds and hundreds of miles of here, there's only one place, that's Gita Nagri, where they've been protecting cows since 1975. And they're becoming well known, their reputation is well established. And when people understand that the cows are protected and there's no slaughter, it becomes quite a wonderful thing. Maybe in the 70s, people would think these guys are crazy, like how can they make money, People think that the slaughtering, milking the cows, and then, when they don't give milk, send it for slaughter. This is our way of life. Practically speaking, just the way the South here in the United States reacted to the idea of abolishment of slavery. Slavery, this is our way of life. This is our economy. And people write, heinous so-called romantic books and make big movies out of it, of what life used to be like, gone with the wind. But the very foundation and root of it is rotten to the core. So now, with the vegetarian movement and the vegan movement, vegan is very nice in one sense, but they just need to be corrected by understanding Krishna's view. What is that chapter? Answers by citing the Lord's version. What does Krishna have to think about the whole thing? What is his plan? And when you understand the cow is sacred and so many things. In Vrindavan, they have Gomata products. There's so many things from the cow that you can do for just all varieties of necessary upkeep of the human body that are amazing. The cow is just so wonderful. So when people come to understand that more and more, so especially the young generation, Prabhupada put big emphasis, because they haven't been so much contaminated and brainwashed or become stuck in their ways, and they will be able more and more to accept. So in that sense, the time is on our side, because more and more as time goes by, the demons, because they're so crazy and they're so lusty and they're so selfish that they don't really calculate, which is the worst enemy for them, what they consider the people waking up. They go, their power is based upon keeping everybody asleep. Like in Roman Empire, give them bread and circus, and then nobody will complain, So especially since television over the last 70 years, just inane TV programming, and now it's just, so much sexual, sex sells, just appeal to people's lower prurient and carnal instincts, and they'll just keep them like in a state just like dulled down animals, and then we can just go on with our thing, whatever it is, to exploit for our own attempt to enslave the entire world and all living entities in it for our nefarious purpose. That is the demons. So this Krishna consciousness movement, we're not so much declaring war against the demons, but but they're declaring war against us. But we know that Krishna will always be victorious, or we should know that, and we should propagate this Krishna consciousness movement very vigorously, with every ounce and fiber of our everything of ourself, and know that victory will be there. The harder we work, the faster it'll happen. The slower we work, or the more lackadaisical we are, well, it'll happen, but Krishna and Lord Chaitanya will have to use other people to get it done. So that's our devotional service, that I want to make it happen for Krishna's pleasure. Just like Srila Prabhupada, I wish that you may deliver them. Please, make me dance as you will. I have no devotion, but I have been designated as Bhaktivedanta. Now you can fulfill the real purport of Bhaktivedanta. Yes, it's a multi-generational task, but the ardent prayers and desires of all the predecessor acharyas, and ultimately Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself over the last 500 and more years, here we are as the actual present human beings, the present hands, legs, eyes, ears, mouth of the Lord. The Brahmin eats, Brahmin Bhojan, he eats on behalf of the Lord. So we should consider ourselves, or aspire to be, the best we can aspire to be is to be instruments on behalf of the predecessor acharyas. So much work has been done over hundreds of years. Now the time for victory is upon us. And we've been, what did they say? They said, somebody, like poet during the French Revolution, what a wonderful time to be alive, you know. I don't know about that, but wonderful time to be alive, because on behalf of Srila Prabhupada, we can now really make bank. You know, it's harvest time. Bring it all in. And Prabhupada, one time he's speaking to his disciples, all in their 20s. You are all young men, and you can do it. But I am an old man, and I have no opportunity. And with that, Srila Prabhupada became stunned in ecstasy. And he couldn't speak any further. And just chant Hare Krishna, and that was the end of the class. So it's a multi-generational down the line, but at the same time, we should think, I want to make it happen now, as soon as possible. When Madhavendra Puri established the Gopal deity, after Gopal himself revealed to Madhavendra Puri that I've been so amazing, he comes to him as a beautiful young cowherd boy and gives him a pot of milk. Out of nowhere, he's like in a secluded, forested area around Govardhan Hill, Govindakund. And he said, my mother told me to give you this pot of milk, and I will come back and take the pot of milk later. And Madhavendra Puri didn't realize it was Krishna himself. And he drank the milk and became overwhelmed with ecstasy. And the boy never came back. But then that night he had a dream, and that same boy appeared to him. I am Govardhan Dari, and I am the master of this place. I was abandoned here when the Muslim attack, and I've been suffering terribly from scorching heat and freezing cold. Please come, and he pointed out the place, and rescue me. Madhavendra Puri was in great ecstasy, but by and by he steadied himself and just fixed himself on executing the service of the Lord. There's an example in the Nectar of Devotion how Daruka suppressed his ecstatic feelings when fanning the Lord with a chamara whisk. devotees would see Prabhupada physically, with great effort, suppress ecstatic symptoms so he could go on with his service to his spiritual master of presenting the philosophy for us neophytes. If higher topics of love of Godhead and actual symptoms of ecstasy are displayed too much to neophytes, then the tendency is that they will try to imitate for cheap name, fame, profit, adoration, and distinction, thus become sahajiyas, and other people will follow, and thus everything will be deviated. So Srila Prabhupada was very chaste and very strict in that regard, and he expects us all as his followers to also to conduct ourselves with that proper manner and decorum. The members of this Krishna consciousness movement are enjoined not to discuss the topics of Radha and Krishna in public. Mass Harinam Sankirtan is the most effective method for rousing up the general population and speaking the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita to those who are interested. What was I saying before Daruka and fanning Krishna with the chamra was? Oh, yes, okay, Madhavendra Puri. So, and why am I saying all this? Now I'm back. So then he informed all the villagers, and they all came. That Gopal was discovered, and a great establishment of a first-class temple for the deity. The remnants are still there at Govardhan Hill, you can see. And all this great opulence and worship of the Gopal deity manifested within a very short time. So Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that this is like 1971 that he's writing this. In the same way that this Krishna consciousness movement is spread all over the world in a short time of 4 or 5 years, and people are astonished. But actually, if one understands the potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is not at all difficult to understand. Why does Krishna have to take 4 or 5 years? In 4 or 5 days, he could spread his name and fame like wildfire all over the world. And we said in a recent class, Prabhupada said, Raya Prabhu, who's recently passed on, that automatically a certain percentage, a small percentage of the population will become Krishna conscious in this age of Kali. And Narayan said, well, if it's automatic, then why are we preaching? And Prabhupada, he just stopped and just penetratingly looked right into his eyes and said, but if you preach, why not 100%? So devotional service is not mechanical or automatic. It's a personal affair of love of the heart between the Lord and his worshipful, between the deity and his worshipful Lord, the object of his supreme love and affection. So Srila Prabhupada is extending us this wonderful opportunity, and we should take it. I'll read one verse, which is one of my favorites about Lord Ramachandra. Traitayam Vartamanayam Kala Krita Samo Bhavat Rame Rajani Dharmagni Gane Sarva Bhuta Sukavahe Lord Ramachandra became king during Treta Yuga, but because of his good government, the age was like Satya Yuga. Everyone was religious and completely happy. Purport. Among the four yugas, Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali, the Kali Yuga is the best. Is that sound right? Worst. What does what does Bakhtin Merriam-Webster say? Give a definition for worst. Let's hear some adjectives and synonyms. Help us.
Corrupt, evil, or ill. That's the first one.
Okay. Corrupt, evil, or ill.
Most unfavorable.
Most unfavorable.
Unpleasant or painful.
Unpleasant or painful.
Most unsuitable.
Most unsuitable.
Faulty.
Faulty.
Unattractive.
Unattractive.
Or ill-conceived.
Or ill-conceived.
Least skillful.
Least skillful.
Or efficient.
Or efficient.
This one doesn't work very well, but this one says most wanting in quality, value, or condition.
That's good. Most wanting in quality or condition. Thank you, Bakhtin Miriam. You can sit down now. But if the process of Varnashram Dharma is introduced even in this age of Kali, the situation of Satya Yuga can be invoked. What is invoked? The Hare Krishna movement or Krishna consciousness movement is meant for this purpose, invocation.
I find it's 9, 10, 51. What?
Wait, just look at me. Don't look at the thing here. Invoked.
Yeah, I'm searching it up. To petition for help or support.
Petition for help or support.
To appeal to or cite as authority.
To appeal or cite as authority.
To call forth by incantation.
To call forth by incantation.
To make an earnest request for.
To make an earnest request for.
To put into effect or operation.
To put into effect or operation.
Bring about or cause.
The Krishna consciousness movement is meant for this purpose. Kaler dose nade rajan, dosa nade rajan, asti eko mahan gunai, kirtanadeva krishnasya mukta sangha param prajet. My dear king, so this is the symptoms of the age of Kali. This is Bhumi Gita. There's 2 chapters. Chapter 2, symptoms of the age of Kali, and Bhumi Gita. This is the goddess Earth herself, describing the sinful population of Kali Yuga and its conditions, and she also reveals her opinion about such persons. You can read. So at the end of this is the final, just before final instructions to Maharaj Parikshit, before Maharaj Parikshit passes away. Interesting. Why is Shukadeva Goswami? Don't come back in Kali Yuga, Maharaj Parikshit, which is just now starting. And with the Kali coming and him being caught trying to chop off the legs of the cow and the bull. So, you sinful man. He begged for mercy, and he gave him the opportunity to stay in a place where there is illicit sex, intoxication, eating, gambling. My dear king, I can't find any place like that. Please give me another place. Wherever his gold is hoarded. And now Kali has spread its influence everywhere. So similarly for us, as readers of Srimad Bhagavatam, don't come back. Unless you come back to preach, even more empowered than you were in your previous life. That's the only bona fide reason to come back, which is a very good reason, actually. My dear king, although Kali Yuga is full of faults, there is still one good quality about this age. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, one can become freed from material bondage and be promoted to the transcendental kingdom. Mukta Sangha, liberated association, and not just any old liberated Sangha. There was one devotee, I'm not going to reveal his name, I'll tell Hansarupa privately. I remember he was giving class in 55th Street and said, man, I'm so fallen, if I could get liberation, I'll take anything I can get, you know? He's a lifelong devotee and very, very nice. But I remember it made such an impression. Why is he? I don't want just liberation. I want to go back to Vrindavan, Goloka Vrindavan. And I think it caused a little contention, and people were like, Prabhu, that's really not, you know. Mukta Param, supreme, Brajet means the supreme association and destination is Param Dhamma, Krishna's own abode, Goloka Vrindavan. Brajadam. If people take to this Sankirtan movement of chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, they will certainly be freed from the contaminations of Kali Yuga, and the people of this age will be happy as people were in Satya Yuga, the golden age. Anyone, anywhere, can easily take to this Hare Krishna movement. One need only chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, observe the rules and regulations, and stay free from the contamination of sinful life. Even if one is sinful and cannot give up sinful life immediately, if he chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra with devotion and faith, he will certainly be freed from all sinful activities, and his life will be successful. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtan. This is the blessing of Lord Ramachandra, who has appeared in this age of Kali as Lord Gaura Sundar. And in conclusion, there's the chapter 18, residents of Jambudweep offer prayers to the Lord, 5th canto, where Hanuman is offering beautiful prayers to Lord Ramachandra, and Prabhupada reveals to us there how the highest goal of human life can be achieved by worshiping the form of the Lord with 6 arms, Sadbhuj Murti, the 2 hands of Krishna blowing the flute, the 2 arms of Lord Ramachandra holding bow and arrows, and the 2 arms of Lord Chaitanya holding sannyas rod and water pot. Hare Krishna. I know that Kadamba Maharaj had worshipped a very beautiful Sadbhuj Murti, for example, and from what I understand, that deity will be dispatched to, I think, South Africa, but his Govardhan Shila will be in care of Vasudev Prabhu, head Pujari of the Bhakti Center. Any further or last question on this subject matter? Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Govinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.